He had almost missed it entirely. The built-in cabinet in the hallway was narrow, nearly flush with the wall, painted the same dull white as everything else in the apartment, a relic of a time when storage was treated as architecture rather than convenience. It held nothing of value at first glance: a few dusty hangers, a cracked umbrella, a rusted flashlight with corroded batteries, and, tucked at the very back of the top shelf, a small cardboard box so faded it looked like it had been absorbing the color of the air around it for decades. He wouldn't have reached for it if not for the odd weight of it, light, but not empty. Inside, among a few brittle receipts and an old key, was a VHS tape, black, unmarked, no label, no stickers, no writing of any kind. Just the tape. He didn't own a VCR, of course. Who did anymore? But there was one in the building's basement, part of the laundry room's communal junk pile, a collection of outdated electronics and discarded furniture left behind by previous tenants, gathering dust and quiet resentment. He plugged it in with a degree of suspicion, fully expecting it not to work, but the machine lit up, clunked once, and accepted the tape without resistance. The screen went blue, then static, then cleared. No intro. No timecode. Just a straight cut into footage, handheld, shaky, silent. It showed an apartment. His apartment. Or at least one designed to resemble it perfectly, down to the peeling wallpaper and the small chip on the edge of the kitchen counter. At first, it was empty. Then, after a few seconds, a man walked into frame. He couldn't breathe. It was him. Not someone who resembled him, not a blurry look-alike, it was him, unmistakably. Same hair, same build, same scar on the chin. The man on the screen wore a dark shirt he didn't own but recognized anyway. And the strangest part wasn't just that the apartment looked identical, or that the figure moved with his exact mannerisms, it was that he remembered none of it. The man on the tape walked through the apartment slowly, as if cataloging it, touching surfaces with a kind of reverence, brushing fingers along the window frame, tapping twice on the bathroom mirror, crouching to press his palm to the baseboard in the hallway. The footage was silent, with no indication of who was holding the camera. It didn't cut. It just followed. He watched for 23 minutes. No dialogue. No plot. Just his double exploring the space with increasing intent, opening the same cabinet where he had found the tape, staring into it as if expecting something to be there. Then, with no clear transition, the man turned and looked directly at the camera. And smiled. Not a wide smile. Not menacing. Just a slight, knowing curve of the lips. Then static. He rewound the tape twice. Each time it ended the same way. No credits. No identifiers. No sign of the footage being old or doctored. It didn't feel like fiction. It didn't feel like anything at all, just raw observation, as though someone had recorded a moment that was never meant to be seen, let alone kept. That night he couldn't sleep. Not because of what he'd seen, but because of what he hadn't. He had no memory of filming anything like it, no recollection of anyone ever filming him, and certainly no explanation for how a stranger could mimic him so precisely, unless it wasn't mimicry. Unless it wasn't a stranger. The next morning, he returned to the cabinet. The tape was gone. But the box was still there. And inside, where the tape had been, was a still frame, printed, not glossy, folded once, showing his face, from the moment before the smile, paused mid-glance, eyes already beginning to shift toward the lens. He hadn't printed it. He hadn't placed it there. But it had found its way home anyway. He stared at the printed frame longer than he meant to, not because it revealed anything new with time, but because the longer he looked, the more it seemed to resist interpretation, like a photo that didn't belong to the rules of light and lens, but to something older, something that remembered what came before the image, as if the moment it captured was still moving beneath the ink, just barely, like a thought trying to reassert itself inside someone else's memory. He tucked the photo away, telling himself it was evidence, not of something explainable, but of something present, and for the rest of the day, he kept thinking back to the man on the tape, not just the physical resemblance, not just the mirrored movements, but the intent behind the gestures, the way the figure had touched the walls and corners and fixtures with such deliberate rhythm, as if retracing steps he had walked before, as if following a script written long ago but only now being enacted.